Taylor.
Come on, Sarah, you know what I'm doing.
Yeah, Taylor. Oh, he's done. He's done. Shit.
I said, let me hear you make some noise. Come on.
Will your philosophy on that ever change? And
No.
How about your momentum coming into this fight? You have a 5-fight win streak coming in. You're facing a guy that has some serious power in Robbie Lawler. What do you assess from him as far as his power in this fight and your confidence coming off your win streak?
I haven't watched too much on Robbie this camp. I've focused on my own training like always, and I feel very confident. My training has been better than ever. I'm very confident I'm going to win in the first round or finish the fight in either KO or submission at some point in the fight.
Did you go back and
Where do you think the winner of your fight between you and Rory will be on the scale of the welterweight after the fight?
Where do I think
Do you
I'm going to be?
Do you think the winner of your fight will be close to a championship fight? Or?
Yeah, probably. I think any fight in the top 10, if you have a great performance, is going to launch you up towards the top. So that's what I plan to do.
Do you plan on going to middleweight at some point?
Yeah, I want to be the champ in 170 for a while, but I'm going to challenge other weight classes.
You'd rather be champ at 170 than go to 185?
Yeah. Eventually, not like win the belt and leave. I mean,
Right.
I want to make my, I want to, mark my territory here at 170, and then start exploring other areas.
If you wanting to do that, what is the plan going forward? Do you just keep taking fights until George kind of ends his reign, or how's this work?
Yeah, you just keep taking fights and, one step at a time.
Or you came in for some criticism from some quarters after your last win. Other people thought you just executed a game plan. After that win, you seemed to just shrug off that criticism. Afterwards, when you went home, did it bug you in any way? I mean, you won the fight. You did your job. Did it irk you to have somebody criticize the way you did it?
There's always going to be criticism. That fight in particular has been the most I've been criticized, but it really didn't bother me too much. I don't follow the media too often and things like that, or what's being said about me. I really just been working hard in the gym, and I'm going to put on a great performance this Saturday, and you can expect that.
Part of the criticism came from your boss at the UFC. I mean, did that leave a mark?
Not really. I heard what he had to say that night, and I listened to it, and I understand it, and I'm going to try to find a balance that makes everyone happy.
Are you willing to take more risk this time around against Lawler?
I don't think it was about me taking risks. I think it was about Ellenberger taking risks that he wasn't willing to take.
And do you think Lawler is going to take more risk?
Yeah, I mean, Robbie's one of those guys that comes to fight every time, and he's going to leave it all out there, and I think a guy like that is going to make an exciting fight with me.
where do you rank Robbie in terms of striking in the division? You face Carlos Condit, one of the best in the division. Where would you put Robbie right now in the welterweight division in just pure striking?
He's one of the best in the world, without a doubt. He's not fighting at the top of the UFC for no reason. He's got some impressive KOs in his last few fights, so he's up there.
What are your thoughts on the main event Saturday?
I think George is going to dominate his fight. I think it'll be a great performance.
Rory, do you think that you're just cursed to always be compared to George? I mean, if if you win the 170-pound title, it just seems like that comparison will always be there. Like, how good is he compared to George? You know, what did he do compared to George? Or do you think that over time, and once George retires, that you'll be able to leave your own mark?
Yeah, I'm a young guy, and you know, I've been brought up behind George in the last few years, so I understand where it comes from, and I get it. It's a part of it. It happens to all young guys who train with legends of the sport, and all I could do is basically keep taking a step forward in my own career, putting my own footprint in the sport and becoming a legend myself, and then one day hopefully a younger guy under me coming up can be measured up to me. It's just the way this combat sports are.
Does it put more weight on your shoulder to have all those expectations to be the next GSP, stuff like that?
No, I'm not trying to be the next George. I'm just trying to be the best I can be.
And you talked about it earlier, but you plan on moving up weight class at some point. Do you have difficulties to make weight at 170?
No, not at all. Not at all. I don't have any difficulties making this weight. I have a good nutrition program that I follow, and I'm healthy when I fight. The whole 185 thing is just about challenging myself. If it ever comes to the point where I'm dominating my division, which I plan on doing, but I'm just taking one step at a time, and hopefully I'll get there one day.
Are you kind of impatient now? Are you eager to have this championship fight sooner rather than later?
I think it'll come when God plans on it to come. So I'm just doing everything I can to work towards it.
A good friend of yours, Mike Ricci, was cut from the UFC. Obviously, you're familiar with the business side of this sport, but what did you think of that sort of business side coming into things?
Yeah, it was unfortunate. I mean, I really think that Mike is one of the top talents in the world at 155, and I really believe he'll be back, and it might be a blessing in disguise in the long run for him. I believe in him, and I think he'll be a champion one day.
You've been gunning for that rematch with Carlos Condit for a while. The timing just didn't work out on this one, but were you disappointed at all you didn't get Carlos? Is that still something that is like deep inside you want that fight at some point?
It was a disappointment for sure. I definitely would like to challenge him again. I think I've come a long way since that fight, and I'd like to prove it to myself more than anything that I've overcome that obstacle and beat him. I believe it'll happen in the near future. I think Carlos isn't going anywhere. I think he's one of the top talents at welterweight for a long time, and I think we'll definitely have that fight.
You see him beating Matt Brown?
Yeah, I'm confident that Carlos will have a great performance against Matt.
That kind of sets it up perfectly. If everything works out right, you and him both win.
Yeah, we'll see. I really can't control any of that. I just really just focused on Robbie Lawler on Saturday night.
How much work did you and George do together for this your respective fights?
Yeah, we both were fighting a lefty, so it was good. There was a lot of good talk and training methods that we shared. So it was a great camp for both of us. We're both feeling very sharp.
That's different than last time, right? I mean, you guys didn't work as much together before your fight with Jake, is that right?
It was more of a scheduling thing, different fight times, leaving, and then strategizing for different style of opponents. So that's all.
Have you got to work out in the full-size octagon that he had in there, and what do you think that gives the TriStar athletes an advantage in their upcoming fights?
Yeah, it's great to have that UFC cage in our gym. It's been nice being able to visualize in there the different surface that we get to work on, and it's good to have experience on it because it's not the same surface as a regular gym mat, so it's interesting.
Do you ever worry that you'll be forced into a position to make a decision to move up in weight class if you're dominant over the rest of the welterweights?
Do I feel I'll be forced?
Do you ever worry about that day when you're forced to either fight GSP or you have to move up?
I'm not worried. I'm just taking it one step at a time. I'm pretty confident anywhere I fight against anybody.
What do you normally walk around at?
About 210.
You've spoken in the past about kind of learning the fine art of scaling it back so that you don't overtrain. I'm curious if you compare yourself today to the way you used to say train a year ago. I mean, what would you say is the biggest difference?
Be more relaxed, more emphasis on taking care of my body before and after workouts, throughout the days and throughout the weeks. It's a lot of work maintaining the body and eating right and training right. Like some days you feel stiff and you come in and just for no good reason your partner cranks your neck and pops something. It just sometimes freak stuff happens when you're training as hard as we do. So it's just a matter of being focused on being relaxed and taking care of the body. And then if stuff happens, then that's what happens. We're not dancing here. It's a hard sport to train for, and it's a fine balance of staying injury free but getting as good as you can.
You said earlier that you're going to try and find a balance between maybe the criticisms that Dana made of your last fight, but then also just fighting smart. But I mean, there's got to be a part of you, right, that's sort of defensive about it, saying like, I'm a young guy in my career, I'm going to have a long career. Taking punches just doesn't make sense for me at this point in my career. I mean, was there that part of you that was kind of like, no, he's wrong?
I felt that I was doing the right thing. I was setting Jake up for a knockout shot or setting him up for other things, but he was sitting back and getting jabbed and getting kicked and he was just sitting out in the open, getting picked apart, and maybe there was a couple things that could have been more offensive that I learned from. But I don't think most of the criticism should fall on me because I understand the technical side of things. A lot of people in this sport that criticize it don't actually understand the amount of technique that goes into striking or just the whole MMA thing. So I really think a lot of it falls on Jake's decision to sit back and get picked apart.
Do you think he didn't know what to do with you?
I think he did. I think he's just...
He froze up?
He froze. I think I froze him and wasn't willing to engage after that.
You've gone back-to-back fights with DJ and Jake, talking a lot of trash beforehand, saying a lot of crazy things, kind of amping up the intensity. This time, Robbie, he's more about action, doesn't really say a lot. Do you prefer an opponent that just wants to fight, doesn't really need to trash talk you to get hyped up for a fight?
Yeah, it doesn't require as much energy when you're doing interviews and stuff, having to hear what your guy said and them expecting an answer out of you. It's quite nice.
You went on Saturday and George were to lose. Where do you put yourself in the title picture at that point?
I don't know. Just focusing on myself, man. I can't really answer.
Trying to set you up in a different way there.
I know you are. I can't control those things. I think me and George are both gonna have great performances, and whatever happens, everything will fall in place as God plans, and I have faith in that.
Yeah, Taylor. Oh, he's done. He's done. Shit.